Welcome into Hoops Forum, a production of Radius Athletics and a Quick Timeout podcast. I'm Tony Miller, and joining me once again this week is my co-host Randy Sherman. Big thanks to our sponsors over at 323 Sports. The folks with 323 are providing uniforms, equipment, team gear, and more to schools and colleges across the country at an incredibly low price for their products. I've used them multiple times, and their customer service is fantastic. As you prepare for the upcoming school year, reach out to 323. Let them be your athletic program provider. They'll take great care of you. You can find out more about them by visiting 323sports.com, or you can contact a sales rep directly at sales@323sports.com. They'll be sure to do it right for your sports program. Randy, today, those of you that are watching, you can see here another X's and O's episode.
Yeah, back to our bread and butter. Talking
That's right.
about things on the court that are interesting to me and you, and hopefully today some coaches will find this topic valuable.
Yeah. Let's just start playing through the five, playing, more teams five out, more teams Princeton-esque type offenses. You're seeing it even a little bit, quite a bit, as the NBA playoffs progress,
Sure.
and now culminating with the NBA finals and the two teams using a lot of five out with their versatile bigs. Just start with just kind of benefits of playing through the five and why or what has happened, the revolution
Yeah.
of things kind of going, more teams using that kind of offense.
Yeah, I saw a quote recently that said space is the currency of sport. So I would say that might be one motivation behind what we see, especially at the higher levels of play, of um, bringing a player that's typically associated with being in the interior, inside the 3-point arc, be that on the low post or high post or something like that, bringing them out. And what that does is open up area around the lane for either drives, cuts. So I'd say that's the main benefit, is just trying to open up the floor, not only move your own teammate out of the way, but move their defender and bring them out. So you lessen rim protection and make it difficult for shots to be contested at the rim by the defense. So I'd say that's maybe some of the rationale. And as you mentioned, we're being shown in the finals and all throughout the playoffs of examples of teams that are playing through the five and letting, on the screen we see Domantas Sabonis of the Kings. Of course, Jokic is the ultimate chess piece when it comes to this, and then Bam Adebayo of the Heat. Not quite to the level of Jokic, but sometimes he's an initiator out there on handoffs and things like that. And so I would say that it's coming to all levels of basketball, or in some instances it's already there, of where you have a player who can initiate actions from the five rather than sort of like be the focal point of actions. For example, I would say we typically tend, the way basketball's been approached in decades past, let's say, is the five man is the finishing player of a possession. Maybe we run a pick and roll, hit them on the roll, they dunk it, the possession's over. Or we enter it to them on the low block and they make a post move and the possession's over. So typically what we think of as our five man is they're the player who ends a possession. Well, what I'm going to present today are ways to use your five earlier in the possession to sort of trigger the possession, to start the action. So it's sort of flipping that sort of pattern that's existed in basketball for decades, of the five man being the last player to touch the ball to sort of one of the first players to touch the ball.
Yeah. So again, this is one that if you're listening to this, you want to go and find this on YouTube. Just search Hoops Forum or Radius Athletics, and you can see the slides that go along with it. And I'll try to keep these slides as well. If you're wanting to get these, you can reach out to me, and I can pass these along. Go ahead and introduce here this first slide that people are seeing, and then we'll kind of build from there.
Yeah, wanted to start simple and just like if a coach were to ask, like, if I got this 5-man who's, got some skills, so where would you begin using them to sort of weaponize that and bring them out away from the basket? And I would say starting simple with dribble apps. So what you see up in the top left frame is just a 5-out positioning. What we're envisioning is the offense has sort of moved into the front court and 5-out. Our 5-man is at in the middle third of the court, top of circle, however you want to call that. And we the first pass we make is a pass to them trailing to that sort of swing spot, if you will. So what's a very simple thing we can do to play through the 5 right here is, and I would say starting with a dribble at. So what you see in the frame one is exactly that. What you would see maybe if a team was still sort of like getting comfortable with this idea is this player get rid of it and cut to the block or something like that. Just get to your home, right? Instead, this is sort of like expanding their role in the possession, letting them trigger some action. So a dribble at, what we want in a dribble at is punch the gap. So what you see where I've drawn that dribbling arrow, the squiggly arrow is intentional, that they've sort of penetrated the 3-point line rather than dribbling wide at player 4. They punch the gap. That gets that defender there to sort of freeze, causes a moment in indecision, and perhaps we can backdoor cut behind them like you see in frame one. Keeping that dribble. If the first backdoor cutter doesn't come open, we keep punching that gap, dribbling at 3's defender, and I should have pointed that out. We're dribbling at X4, not 4. We're dribbling at their defender. Keep dribbling at 3's defender. If they're overplay, we could get double backdoor. If they're not, we come over and give a handoff. So this is something like, if you were to watch the next finals game, you're going to see Jokic do, Bam do, Sabonis did. Like it's very common. And I know some of you watching, well, I don't have those guys, but maybe you do have a player there that's got a little size who's, while maybe they're not Magic Johnson or something, they're okay with a couple dribbles and making a decision with the ball. And what you've done is you've opened up paint for cutters. You've opened up paint for penetration. So, basic. I wanted to start with the basic dribble at option.
Yeah, back to your point about I don't have the players for this. I think more and more coaches, especially, I'm realizing the ones that are listening to this show and listening and follow us, they're using more of I'm developing all players the same. So everybody's together. We're all working on ball handling. We're all working on decision making. We're all working. And you don't necessarily this isn't turning the 5 into a point guard. But what you just said, take 2 dribbles to their left, 2 dribbles to their right, be able to read a defender and their teammate back cuts or comes and accepts the ball. These are basic decisions. This is not, you need the MVP of the league to be able to accomplish this.
Yeah. And like I have it drawn to where this player would be doing that with their left hand, so if that's you could just mirror that frame and they go back right to the side they came from and dribble at player 1 and they back cut and play player 2 coming off the possibly double backdoor coming off the over the top of the handoff. So I get the mentality of this being a mental stretch for some coaches of like, oh man, like I look at this and I'm just scrolling past it because I don't, but I would argue that like if we're ever going to become more dynamic at all, we have to sort of begin by asking someone to do something they're currently not capable of doing. Like if we're ever going to improve, we have to accept that like, okay, this might not go so well early on, but like we've got to like throw you in the river so you learn to swim. We just have to at some point take the training wheels off and let's do it.
I'm going to come back and ask you about ideas for drilling and practicing and resources to improve the things that you just said. But Let's go ahead and get through the next one here.
Yeah. So again, the next one, I believe what you have queued up next is going to be sort of an extension of this, where in 5-out, I like to make things very simple for the big, because again, this might be their first time in their basketball playing career that they're facing the basket, and they're out on the perimeter, toes to the 3-point line instead of, toes to the back of the 3-point line. They're So one very simple rule is if you have been passed the ball, take it to the action. If you've been passed the ball, take it to the action. So here would be 1 is passed to 2 in the swing spot, and they're immediately, they know what to do. We're not asking them to be, Chris Paul or Magic Johnson or some, super skilled point guard or something. We're just saying we're going to give you a hard and fast rule. When you get this pass, take it to the action. And in a natural 5-out setup, where might the action be? In the corner. So what we're looking at here on the frame is a corner split. So what we would like the timing of this to look like is when 1 passes to 5. So 5 would be looking at his or her right to get that pass to 5. And they pull their chin and shoulder through to look to the left. I want 4 to immediately initiate a corner split with the player below them. 1 goes to the rim, 1 pops back. Here what you see is player 3 in the corner rejects that split. The player 4 pops back, and now player 5 very quickly is one rule they're following: take the ball to the action. Next rule is like either play to the cutter, play to the screener. Boom. And then if the reject comes open, we want that to be kind of a one-hand bounce pass off the dribble. If they don't, and he feels safer to play to the pop man, we can throw to the pop back man. And then so what would just naturally come next for that? So I've already been on the move, taking the ball with the dribble to that action. I threw to the pop back man, like you see in the frame on the bottom right, is just follow that pass into a ball screen, which is something your 5-man probably is pretty comfortable with, and then roll into the post somewhere where they are pretty comfortable probably already. So it's just a momentary quick thing we can do in early offense to play through them, and then come away from them, as you see as this play would advance, as we wing ball screen and we throw to one of those 3 people spaced along the weak side. So yeah.
And we've talked about in previous episodes the things that you can do with those 3 guys on the other side, and it's maybe a little bit more advanced, but maybe someday I'll start putting all of these episodes together so that people can see kind of the building out of what that looks like. All right, next one here, throw and go.
Yeah, so this would be another example of the first pass of our possession is we're putting it into the 5's hands to sort of be our trigger man, our decision maker. One thing that you see pretty commonly is the player who passed it to 5 there at the swing spot immediately chases that pass to get it back. So the throw is the pass from 1 to 5, that centering pass to the swing spot. The go is 1 immediately trying to outrun their pass and take it back. So by that immediacy of, I know I'm throwing it to the big and I'm going to chase my pass, I might get a little bit of a head start on my opponent. And when 5 puts it on a platter and hands it back, I've got an advantage for downhill penetration. What I have drawn here, we've got the player in that stretch spot sort of clearing out to where we would have room to attack on the double side, on the other side of that. But 5 is the trigger man now. They've got the ball. The quote that I would leave you with today is, if you've got the ball, you're the point guard. If air quotes point guard, right? So we've thrown it to 5, and now they have to decide when 1 chases it for the throw and go. I have to surmise whether that is going to be a clean exchange that I feel comfortable of just giving it right back. X1 didn't somehow blow it up or cut through that gap to sort of disturb that handoff. So if I can hand it cleanly, I will, but I have to be the decider of that. So I think a lot of times we shield our 5 player from decisions. Just go dunk it, Big Johnny. Just go lay it up, Big Johnny. Just go, like we just go to the block, Big Johnny. Like we shield them from decisions. So this is pivoting away from that and giving them decision-making power. I see him cutting over the top, throw and go, but I'm watching his defender, and they're trying to blow it up. They've disrupted it. The handoff isn't clean; it's dirty. So they have to decide to keep it. So you see him hold it out. Oh, I don't like it. They'll pull it back, and 1 just keep running over the top of them. And now they put it on the floor and play to the next guy where we might clear out, and another guy in the stretch and come over the top for the handoff with the next available player. So again, just One decision. Can I hand it off or not? If not, if so, do. If not, let's play to the next guy. Keep and go next. So throw and go, keep and go next. I think that's not too much to teach to a player who's, at least capable enough to earn a uniform.
Would you say that these three are like the foundational ones? Like this is where if you have, even if you want to just start with something, these would be like the three go-to.
I think so, especially if you were wanting to move to a 5-out positioning to where you are, bringing that player, making a basket facing player.
Mhm.
And I always try to start things with like, okay, where is the basic thing we could ask him to do? A dribble at, a play to an off ball screen, be the passer to an off ball split or something like that. Like reverse and screen away, like something like just very simple might be some examples, but throw and go, simple if then. If you can hand it off, do so. If not, keep and go next.
All right, and we're going to go on here to the last few, just a couple more options. So building on that, so hopefully we haven't lost some of the more advanced coaches who have been using this. This next one here, 5 playing more from the elbow instead of at a 5-out.
Yeah, from the pinch post, right? So maybe the first 3 frames are where some coaches already are, like we're 5-out, or I want my guy facing the basket. He's, we got a 6'5" skilled big in high school who can do some things. So, but if you still want to play through them, but you're not quite ready to make them a basket facing player, these last options are sort of examples I would give of playing through the 5. And what you brought up here is at the pinch post off the elbow. And this is, common action in Princeton offense, but some people kind of run this as a standalone piece of just, you see it in triangle offense, stuff like that, like a player in the elbow-ish area. So 1 is at the swing spot. They enter the 5, and let's say they screen away. They screen away after 1 enters to 5 in the elbow. Again, our first pass of our set or our play is to the 5. It's not the last pass of the possession. It's one of the first ones. So we enter it to the 5, and now they're the decider. They're the point guard. They've got the ball, and we run an off-ball split like you see in point away right here. And they're looking for the reject or the pop back, just like they are in the corner split. We're just moving that action to a different geography on the court. So they're the decider. Is the reject open? Is the pop back open? If not, what do I do next? Let's look at the next frame and see what that might be. So, so if neither of those are open and I've got the ball, I look at the split and I don't like it, well, I can put it on the floor and get into a dribble at with, which we looked at from a different geography earlier, get into a dribble at with the lone player on that side. So we call this playing the other way. The action was over here. That split action was over here. Playing the other way to this lone player in the corner might be where I go. So we're giving our 5, who's maybe not used to being a trigger man, maybe not used to being the decision maker in a possession, a very quick look at the split. If not, play the other way. This can also just be spin and go lay it up, or spin and go attack, but it can also be playing with the next guy over in the corner, that lone player in the corner, where they might be overplayed. We reject into a back cut, or they come over the top and we hand it off. Simple. But this might be a bridge for the coach who's like, yeah, I'm not quite ready to make them a 5-out player, but what else could I do to play through them? Pinch post.
And then for the ones who aren't quite ready to put them in the pinch post, the last one here in the low post.
Yeah, so this is their natural habitat, right? Like this is where they're at home. So the low post, we've got them in the low post. And even if that was their natural habitat, but I wanted to make a subtle change to get them the ball and play through them as a facilitator, make them the hub of the offense a little bit more often. I would change the nature of this post up. You see 5 in green there. I should have drawn it better this way, but instead of like your traditional post up where his rump is in the other guy's crotch and it's a back to the basket traditional post up where he's only got vision of this like offensive right half of the court. Change it to where his butt is to the baseline, and he's using an arm bar and we call it a strong arm and a long arm, and we call it T-post position, where he's posted perpendicular to the lane line, parallel to the baseline, and also perpendicular to his man. Arm bar him off, ask for the ball with that outside hand, and throw it to that outside hand when you make it that entry. And now we're almost like pulling them a little bit toward the short corner, and there's a good spatial relationship for them to now be the hub, playing through them in the low post where we can run a split. We've seen splits from 3 different geographies now. So the corner, the wing, the off the elbow, and now off the low post. So one enters to 5, immediately, heads toward the elbow to set that split screen with 3, and now we're playing through the 5, but somewhere they're comfortable with. And maybe the coach is more comfortable with them there. So we get a reject or a slip and player 3 accepting the screen. So now we're using them as a passer, a facilitator, and again, we're giving them a decision. We're going to enter it to you. We're going to immediately, we're running a split action. If 1 or 3 doesn't come open, what's next? That'll be on the next slide. Hand it off to player 3 and oops, where'd it go?
My fault.
Okay. Yeah. So we want to give them something to quickly do if there's that neither of those split options come open. So there you go. So yeah, 5, 3 who came around off that split screen, just keep running, and maybe we take one dribble and hand it off to you, or I pass it to you and chase right into a step up ball screen. I have drawn a handoff out of the post, commonly gets called grenade action. So we hand it off right out of the post to that player who received that split screen. Just keep running over the top, and just quick split or pass it to the player who shows up on the wing, step up for him, or hand it off to him.
And there are a couple episodes that I will try to link down in the descriptions below. Split actions. We talked about that for about 2 episodes. If you want to do split stuff when your players in that pinch post or in the low post, both of those, we had another couple video episodes for that. So I'll be sure to link that below. And that kind of brings up the next thing here. There's probably people watching that are thinking, I wish there was film of this. Randy, where is there film available of all this?
There's film of this available on your television every night. like seriously, like there is. So, but joking aside, I recently did a post for my website, radiusathletics.com, entitled Playing Through the 5, where I share videos of Richmond doing some dribble apps. I share a video of University of Northern Iowa 5-out where they center it and play to a corner split. Tons of videos of throw and goes featuring the Miami Heat, the Brooklyn Nets. So that's on my website. Full disclosure, it is a paywall article for Rant members, but you should be a Rant member. So there's where you can see some film. But I would say probably all the videos included in that article are on my YouTube channel somewhere. But being a Rant member and reading the article there would just save you the time and frustration of having to track them down. Plus, you get all kinds of other great benefits and help and knowledge as well. So that's where I'd send you. But seriously, like just watch the game and look for Kevin Love getting the first, at the top of the key. Look for Bam. Look for Joker. It's all around you. Just kind of see that.
So we alluded to this earlier, drilling it and practicing it to improve the decision-making as well as the skills that go in it. Any resources come to mind?
Yeah, I'm not a big drill creator guy, but I would say what I would do if it were me and I was interested in this, I would put pen to paper and say, okay, I want to practice dribble apps with my 5s. make a little 2-player drill, like throw it to our 5 and he's got to do it with his left hand, his right hand. Um, yeah, stuff like that. Sorry, you teed me up for a question I'm not really prepared for, but
Well, if I can remember, if I'm remembering correctly, I think you posted even about it this week on Twitter. Don't you have a 3v3 kind
yeah,
of
I do.
small-sided game, drill book,
Yeah,
game
thanks for
book?
reminding me. I do. Um, yeah, and in that is often like drills we play what I call reversal side drills. So reversal side drills, appreciate the assist there, where we throw to the 5. Maybe we simulate a drill that's 3 players of a 5 out. The coach throws it to 5, 5's at the swing spot, and we got those 2 players to his right or left, his or her right or left. So that's the drill setup. We got the 5's in the middle, 2 players to their right if we're running it that way, to their left if we're running it the other way, and a coach just passes to them, and we can do this on air, an on air rep. We can do it a 3v3 rep, but the coach just starts it by passing to the 5 in the swing spot, and we look to the reversal side, like I showed in the dribble ats in the corner splits, where I caught it from one side of the court, I look to the other, and we just simulate those actions and turn them into shooting drills or turn them into little 3-man scrimmages.
So like Randy said at the beginning, this isn't something that, you necessarily need a drill book for. You can come up with it if you want, but if you want a little bit of help, there's that. I created several years ago. It was more so ball screen, so it primarily focuses on ball screen and ball screen reads, but obviously there's some of that within 5 out as well.
Yeah,
And
and I just like to take the the offense, look at it on paper and in whole, and say, okay, well, at most at any one time, there's 3 players in the action, right? We throw it to the 5, and we've got a little corner split. That's a passer, screener, and a cutter, right? So there's 3 players. All right, well, let's give me 3 lines and give me, that's not that's coaching skills 101.
yeah, yeah. So check the description down below. We'll try to include as many resources as we can for you so that you can go and add those to your coaching tool belt if it is beneficial to you. Want to keep mentioning our coaches clinic. Remind you of that. Make
Yeah.
plans to attend that here in the fall. Randy will be a part of that September 8th and 9th in Greenville, South Carolina. By that time of the year, leaves aren't changing yet. Too hot down here, but it's a
Yeah,
nice place to be. Starting to get a little bit cooler. We've got an
I'm ready.
incredible lineup of speakers, in my opinion, best group of teachers of the game that you'll find at any clinic. And so check the link down in the description again, and we'll be sure to post those. We've been posting about that on our social media accounts. So sign up for that so that you don't miss that great event. I think that's it.
Excellent. I'm
Thanks to all
excellent.
of you. Yeah.
I'm
Super
looking
pumped.
forward to the clinic.
Yeah, super pumped to have Randy come and present as that. Thanks to all of you who joined us this week. If you missed any part of the live show, you can go back and watch or listen on YouTube. Search Hoops Forum or Radius Athletics to watch. Or if you're more inclined to listen, go to any podcast platform and search A Quick Timeout, and there you'll find the audio version of the show. For Randy Sherman, I'm Tony Miller. We'll talk to you again next time on Hoops Forum.